Course design is an often overlooked art. Top designers must take into consideration the differing abilities and levels of experience possessed by the horses and riders in a given competition. At the international level, horses will often compete in a series of contests, which culminate with a Nations Cup or international team competition, and the traditional Sunday Grand Prix or individual show jumping competition. Leopoldo Palacios of Venezuela explains the philosophies behind his world-renowned approach to building courses for major tournaments such as the Spruce Meadows Masters.
I think what I try is to building the horses to they jumping better and better every day, and to give it the opportunity the first part of the week of the horses to prepare for the end of the week. But they need to competing every day and to try to have a nice competition every day. I come from less to more. If you see, this course today is harder than the other days, and we're going harder and harder. And I try to do more technical questions, and I thinking this is a sport for riders, and I like to test the ability of the rider to resolve all the problems. And I like to make different tests, not all long, not all short. I make long, short, medium, normal distances, and I play with the time allowed and with all the things that I can play.
The course designers always put tests into their course. They ask you different questions, and your horse and yourself have to be prepared to answer those questions.
If you're building from the international ring at Spruce Meadows, you have the best in the world competing. So you're of course building tough, but you also have to be careful that you don't build too tough and get the horses into trouble. You have to make sure that the courses are built in a way that you get great sport, the sponsors and the fans recognize it as a sport, but also that you keep horses and riders safe.
In the sport of today, the horses jumping almost a lot jumping during the year, and I think I need to protect the horses and don't ask for the horses the maximum effort every day and more play with optical problems and that kind of things. And for me it's very important the safety of the riders and the horses. The main point for me is the safety. I don't like to look horses swimming in the air or have crashes. I don't like.
Leopoldo will use the stride of the horse, which is based on a 12-foot stride. And so that's the distance he's working with, and that's an average horse stride. And then he starts to play with that a little bit. So it might be what we would call 4 short horse strides. So he'll measure that out and just make it a little bit so the riders have to shorten the horse's stride to get those 4 horse strides in, or he might lengthen it out, and so then they'd have to gallop a little. And that's when the rails start to come down, because the horses are a little out of what they're normally used to and they become a little unbalanced, and that's when the fences come down.
Normally for me the Nation Cup is a team competition. I need to play as a team competition and give it to most of the team the chance to present in a good way, but need to be a challenge course to don't give it too easy. And it's very difficult to build it for teams. And in the Sunday class is an individual competition, and it's a very important competition both. But in Sunday I focus more in the best individual, and I can be more hard and a little bit more difficult and don't play as a team.
Anybody can sit on a horse, and if it jumps, it might get to the fence and it might jump over. But when you put the fences up and you add a little bit of a technical distance to it, the horse doesn't know that, galloping down there, that Leopoldo might have put a short 4 strides there. The riders know it because they've walked the course, and so they know it's going to be a little tight for their horses. So if they didn't do anything, the horse would gallop down there on its average 4 strides, get too close to the fence, and knock it down. So the rider's job is to find that optimum takeoff spot so that it gives the horse the best chance to clear the fence.
Leopoldo is a brilliant course designer. He started out the week with gentle courses for an international competition of this caliber, letting the horses get used to the field, used to the flags and the audience and all of the different elements that you'll run into out there. And as the week goes on, it gets more and more difficult. Today's Derby course, for example, he threw 90% of everything on that field at us. We had a 33-foot bank that we had to slide down with only about 30 or 40 feet to a 5-foot white vertical. We had to jump over a tabletop 2 times, up and down and across. We also had very wide water with a tall vertical as the last jump, which by then the horses are downhill, tired. They've been galloping for over about 100 seconds, and or 60 something or 80 or whatever they end up, and they're quite tired, so they'll have a rail by then.
Leopoldo Palacios is one of the top 2 or 3 course designers in the world at this time, and he tested everything today. The jumps were high and wide. It was very, what we say, careful jumping. That is, the jumps fell down very easily. We say it's technical because the distances between the jumps were difficult, and you had to lengthen and shorten the horse's stride while keeping the horse in balance at the same time. There was lots of optical work, tests for a horse's eyes. There was a couple of rails out there that had horizontal stripes on them, and that's very difficult for a horse to get their eye on. Lots of distractions and the decorations around the jumps to draw a horse's eye to the side. So every element that you could test of a horse's abilities was tested here today, which is what you want to do.
This is a couple. This is the only sport that works as a couple between one person and one animal. And it's very important the quality of the horse, and it's very important the quality of the rider. And not even the rider need to prepare the horses, to train them, to teach them, and schooling the horses very well, and have very good dressage on the horses, to the horses have a good mind, and they can dealing with all different kind of distances and all different kind of tests.
He's so terrific because if you ever notice with his courses, he always gets great sport. It's always really tough enough, but fair. It's always a fair course, and he always keeps the bottom end of the people competing. He always keeps them safe, so he always makes sure they're okay. And then at the top, the high level, he always makes sure that it's really, really good sport, and that the best horse and the best rider on the day win. He always stays in touch. He always listens to what the riders say. He stays really, really in touch with the sport, which is unique a lot of the times. Leopoldo as a person you couldn't find a better person. Like, he just is a super person to work with. Rain or shine, he never loses his cool. He's got patience, and the other thing is he is willing to listen. He'll take a lot of everybody's opinion, and he makes the ultimate decision, but he makes you feel, and he works as a team. Everybody's a part of his team.
For me, the dressage is very important for the jumping. The horses need to be very well broken. They need to gallop in exactly the same in both legs. I try to have same grade of difficulty in both legs, in right and left. Some horses always, the horses are like the persons. They are better some in the right, some in the left. And I try to work in both sides to give it exactly the same chance for all of them. Yeah, the result was perfect. Better is impossible, but this is God, this is not myself.